Welcome to the Living Well with Fibromyalgia video series, and this presentation is on managing brain fog. Brain fog, or fibro fog as it is sometimes called, can be really challenging to manage. We don't fully understand why people with fibromyalgia have these difficulties, but they are a common symptom for people with fibromyalgia. So these are some of the symptoms of brain fog. Perhaps you can identify with these. Word finding difficulty is when you just can't find the right word, and perhaps you come out with something completely different. Losing train of thought, often mid-sentence, is when you just lose track of what you're thinking about, what you were going to say. Some people find reading and writing more difficult, so spelling might be harder, or the words on the page might feel jumbled. And jumbled thoughts is when you just feel like your thoughts are jumbled up and you can't really make sense of anything. Poor memory is very common for people with fibromyalgia, and it's quite common for people to be worried about this and maybe even think they're suffering with dementia because they can't remember what they did a few minutes ago. But actually, it's very unlikely that you do have dementia because this kind of problem is very common with fibromyalgia. Poor concentration and attention is a problem for anybody who has pain because pain is a big interference when it comes to concentrating. Being in constant pain is like having an annoying person constantly calling your name to get your attention, so you can't focus on what's going on. But on top of that, with fibromyalgia, you have the brain fog, which also makes concentrating difficult. And if it's hard to pay attention to what's going on, then it's hard to remember what's going on. Disorientation is just sort of a general feeling of not being sure what's going on around you. All of these symptoms can be very distressing, and many people find that they start avoiding situations because they find them so difficult or because they're embarrassed. Often the people around you don't understand, and it can be particularly difficult to manage these challenges if you are working. So what can be done to help? Well, here are just a few ideas. Research has shown that keeping your body and mind active can help with our mental functioning. So doing activities that use the brain, such as puzzles, helps to keep your brain active, and even gentle exercise helps the brain. Writing things down. So writing things down to help you to remember is great, but write everything in one place so you know where to look. This could be a notepad or a mobile phone or other devices, and even the act of writing can help to remember. Another thing you can do is speaking things out loud. So speaking things out loud helps us to remember because we hear what we're saying as well as thinking it. So when you talk to yourself as you do something, it helps with remembering. So even saying, I must remember to whatever out loud can help. Breaking up tasks into manageable chunks is basically pacing, and pacing activities that use your brain is just as important as pacing activities that you would pace in terms of physical activities. So break up the activity into smaller chunks and have breaks. So if you're doing something that requires a lot of concentration or attention, do it in small chunks. Also, because it's so hard to concentrate, it's difficult to concentrate when there are lots of distractions around. So it's difficult to focus when there's background noise, so the television around, or maybe you're in a noisy cafe. It's really hard to be able to focus on what you're doing. So if you're doing something that requires concentration, try and eliminate any distractions as far as possible. Take time to think. So don't be afraid to tell people you need a bit more time to think, or that you may forget. It happens to everyone at times. And some people find it helpful to formulate a sentence in their mind before they say it. If you're in a large group, such as a party, it might be helpful to ask a trusted friend for a recap so that you don't lose track of the conversations. Stress makes everything worse, and so managing your stress is important in terms of managing your brain fog, because brain fog will be made a lot worse when we're stressed. And managing the rest of your symptoms is also important because poor sleep, pain and fatigue will all increase your brain fog. And then finally, talking to others. Many people tell us that they feel embarrassed about their brain fog and feel that the people around them just don't understand. It's good to be able to help the people around you to understand difficulties you're having, and many people find it helpful to be able to explain to the people closest to them what it's like having brain fog, so that it can be a bit more patient and understanding. So what do you find helpful? You may have got other ways of managing your brain fog. Use the workbook to make a note of the things that you can do.